Saturday. Christmas comes early.
Unbelievable! Welcome to this incredible scene.
Bills.
To the end zone!
Chargers.
It's a touchdown!
An exclusive NFL game.
That's fantastic!
Live in primetime.
Wow!
Only on Peacock.
With a Christmas gift to their fans.
They're having some fun now.
Bills versus Chargers. Saturday, 7:30 Eastern. Exclusively on Peacock.
'Tis the season to shine with H&M. Discover the holiday collection and find fashionable pieces for your wardrobe or for under the tree. Get inspired and dazzle with this year's glam. From tuxedo styles, bow detailed pieces, impressive prints, and more. From unforgettable looks to unforgettable gifts. With fashion finds to home decor, find it all at H&M. Treat your loved ones and yourself this season. Shop in-store or at hm.com.
Introducing Royal Caribbean's newest ship, Icon of the Seas, the ultimate family vacation. The ultimate 6 slides, 8 neighborhoods, 0 compromise vacation. The ultimate never done that, can't wait to do it vacation. The ultimate chillin' by a different pool every day of the week vacation. This is the Icon of Vacations. Icon of the Seas, arriving in 2024. Book today. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
The holidays are a time to feel and create joy. And what could be more joyous than the look on her face as she unwraps a stunning new jewelry piece from Blue Nile? How about getting 50% off your purchase? Blue Nile offers premium quality, priced below traditional retail. Their online experts are available 24/7 to answer any questions and make sure you've picked the perfect gift. For a limited time, you can get 50% off at BlueNile.com. That's 50% off at BlueNile.com.
My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer, whiskey, wine or gin. Anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking.
Back at it again with another episode of the Shades of Blue Soccer Show. My name is Cody Bradley. Thad Bell, Robert Russert are here, and we've got David in the chat. He's sick, apparently, still. He doesn't have the voice to hang out with us today, so we're trying David in the chat. He's kind of excited about this new character he's been working on. Gentlemen, welcome. How are you guys doing? I'm very flustered right now, if you can't tell. I walked my dog, my evening walk with the dog, and she got attacked, and I had to fight off. I punched a dog today, and I missed, and it got my forearm, and I'm still all antsy. I'm riled up. So you might need to reel me in a bit today. I might need you guys to carry the conversation. I'm flustered. My thoughts aren't straight. It's been an ordeal.
How big of a dog did you try to punch?
It was not a dog you would. I didn't walk across the street because it looked like a dog you could walk past with your dog without anything happening. But it was big black lab. I had to pick him up and throw him, and then he came at me, and I swung so hard, man. I as a redhead, don't mess with redheads. Like, if you get on the wrong side of a redhead, they turn very quickly. And
you're trying to say we should treat you gingerly?
Oh no.
So was the owner present of this other dog?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was. Right. I stood there. I was screaming at them. That's what made most of this. Oh, yeah, that. What do you?
I have a question though. Did you treat this dog like Melia did or Roldan?
It was. Yeah, I did. I might have laid him down softer than Melia did, to be honest with you. No, I love dogs. I would never in my life imagine hurting a dog, but oh my God, you come after me and mine, it's on. I see red. Bloodless.
Well, I had the opposite. My dog attacked another dog, which is incredibly out of character. Cost me $600.
Oof.
Yeah.
Well, at least the dog is still around. That can be an issue if it attacks the wrong person or the wrong dog, then
right.
The worst can happen there. I told them that they were lucky. I acknowledged that situation. I told them they're lucky that this happened to me and not someone else.
As David in the chat just mentioned, stop admitting to crimes on air.
I was being attacked. There's no crime. I was literally being attacked. I defended myself, okay? Anyway, we should probably reluctantly talk about soccer. David in the chat wants to talk about the LAFC game first. Should that be our segment one while we just
Yes.
while we avoid talking about the more recent 4-0 loss in STL? Let's talk about the LAFC game. We wanted, or at least we can talk macro about the week, right? We talked about them needing, or us wanting, 4 points from these 3 games. It started off great, looked great on Wednesday, surviving with a point in LA, but no, did not go well. Robert, what did they do right? How did they pull out a point in LA?
You would call me, wouldn't you? I was going to talk about the goalkeeper, which I know you were certainly frustrated with, but no,
Not the best
they were
game
active.
for keepers.
They were active off of the ball. They were active defensively. They just played as a team. That's what it was come Wednesday night. And as David wants us to mention, some important player on LA, possibly the league MVP this year, said that we were the best soccer team he's seen as far as the actual soccer goes. So that's something, right?
That was a great way to wake up the next morning. I woke up, read that, and I'm like, we're winning MLS Cup. We're gonna beat St. Louis 4-0 this weekend, and we're gonna win MLS Cup. Thad.
So you actually thought 4-0? Is that right?
They played a reverse card on you.
I had people at my house. I got out the projector. We were grilling out, watching the Current. I had people over, said this is going to be a lot of fun. Turned to my friend next to me and I said, 4-1, Polito Hattie. And no. So yeah, I was very confident. I believed it entirely. I felt like we were going to stomp them. But then I remembered the soccer gods just don't let us have anything nice. We're paying for being a small market team that was really good for 10 years, and we're just paying for it all in the span of 2 years right now.
The sins of the past.
Yes. Thad, can you say something good about the LAFC game?
I will echo Robert in that they played like a team, but they played like a team that wanted to win, that didn't want, and they were playing like a team that wanted to prove something.
You guys are coming pretty hard with the cliches here, but I'll allow it because I feel it too. What you guys saw.
Sometimes cliches are accurate.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate cliches for the most part too. I hate that you pointed me out for that.
That's what I do. That's what I'm here for.
But maybe I deserved it after saying about how we should treat you gingerly.
Right. No, the fact that LA is so good going forward, and there was a barrage in all of those chances. They absolutely did. Like there was a team banding together there, grinding it out to secure a result. It's a cliche, but it was real. It happened.
And they jumped out and was the better team for a good chunk of that.
A good chunk of that, definitely.
LA had to make changes to be the better team at a later point where they had to struggle to defend, but they kept it up. And again, David from the chat wants us to say, should McIntosh have saved Bouanga's goal in LA?
He also corrected me on the small market thing. I said that knowing it was gonna make him mad, and I'm used to him being here to respond to it in person. I forgot he was David in the chat though. Yes,
triggering.
It triggered him with the small market team. Yeah, McIntosh should have saved. If you would have saved it if you were a tree by standing still, then you should have saved it. Both keepers should have saved it. It went directly under both of them.
And then, unfortunately, we saw a bit of that Saturday night.
Yeah.
Which is the reason he was the third goalkeeper.
Yeah, honestly, people were, in spite of the error in the LAFC game, I know he had a few good saves after that, but people were very quick to crown him the number 2 over Pulskamp, just from a few of those plays. I was kind of confused about that, but and where was Pulskamp? For those who don't know, yeah, just on the bench. Why?
Yeah, don't know why. Peter said that they're both good, and they both need time and stuff like that. But he's usually not a both kind of need time kind of guy. He's I go with the player that's going to get me the win guy. So maybe Pulskamp's struggled a little bit, and he's went with Kendall. Kendall is a good goalie. He's not a MLS starting goalie all the time. I mean, he's not he's not a number 1 goalie. He's a great guy to have on the bench.
Yes. Okay. I think we've squeaked everything out of the LAFC win that we can.
Draw.
Win. I'm calling it a win. Well,
Win for the soul.
A win that was worth 1 point. So before we get into referee excuses for the St. Louis game, let's get into the excuse about the busy schedule, about how the how the LAFC game maybe impacted the St. Louis game, because everyone else in MLS played midweek, but just fancying the schedule, it seemed like MLS had a team that they wanted to win this game. So I'm gonna take the salty fan route. I'm gonna be that fan this whole podcast. I'm gonna blame the refs. I'm salty about this in a very real way. So did the midweek game impact this game, Robert?
Well, first of all, there were 3 teams that did not play Wednesday, not just St. Louis. But anyway, yeah, definitely.
It was not worth the correction. I know it wasn't every team, almost every team.
They don't have enough refs, and that was proved Saturday.
But no, yeah, it did. But, I don't know what you want to get into, Cody, now, but I don't understand starting Leibold. I really don't. I know it was rotation was part of the thought, but why do you throw a guy in who hasn't played for a while in this game? I don't understand that at all. I don't really understand starting Gotti because he's just not the type of player who's going to play against a physical side St. Louis team. He's not going to be as effective. I don't get that. So
you were saying
I don't even get starting McIntosh, to be honest with you.
You were saying start Eric Tommy over Gotti for this game before.
Well, St. Louis is a physical team, and Gotti, he doesn't thrive in that environment. That's something more that Eric Tommy can handle than Gotti can, and Eric Tommy can dish it out.
Yeah.
Gotti can try to dish it out, but you saw the tackle he did was late, etc. But I just think Eric Tommy fits that situation a lot better than Gotti, and I would have rather started Tommy and then brought on Gotti later when, maybe St. Louis is a little tired and maybe he could have done some good then. But hindsight is 2020. So.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say there. That's fair, but it just seems like you got to start Gotti. Like he's finally back. He scored a goal. Like you got to start him in that game. And I think for all the reasons you said, I think that's why the sub was made fairly quickly. It was at halftime, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I all of that is correct. I think going into it, I mean, you got to start Gotti there, right?
Yeah, you don't have to. I mean, I understand why you're saying that, and in most games you would say yes. And Peter tends to always go and say that you want to impose your will, you want to make the other team play to you. But in this case, you're going on the road after a midweek game. Maybe you should have adapted your tactics a little bit more to preventing St. Louis from being their best team and then try to knock them out at the end. So maybe they should not have started Gotti. Maybe they should have planned to sit back more instead of doing the possession. Maybe they should have even started Roger in one of those roles, and so that it would have been more physical and more combative. And then later in the game, put in Gotti and go for a speed run.
What about Robert's point about Leibold?
I'm less bothered by Leibold because I don't know that he was a problem being there. So I don't. Maybe he was, and I didn't. Watching the game live from where I was at is a very different thing than watching it from higher. Or I've watched part of it back on streaming, but I didn't see Leibold being a problem.
Well, see, Leibold, he's better than Logan is in the final third, and that's what he has over in Denbe right now. But did you notice how much better, more physical, better we were to move the ball up from our own third with Denbe as well? So I just thought Denbe actually was one of the shining lights in the second half, and I would have liked to seen him from the get-go, and maybe again sub maybe Leibold later in the match if we needed to.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's the wrong idea. I just don't know that it would have made a ton of difference because
right.
The way the game state went with them getting early goals and not caring to possess the ball in the first place, I don't know what it would have changed.
Right.
How about those
We know
referees?
Logan likes the physical though too.
Nobody, I've said it a million times, I'll say it again. Nobody gets fouled like Logan and Denbei. Every single time, the guy just he's either getting smacked in the back of the head for no reason, he's getting a red card tackle that doesn't even get called a foul. Oh,
Yeah.
God, this game, man.
I was going back to your guys' interview with Logan when last season when he said he really likes the physical play of MLS, likes getting stuck in.
Yes, maybe let's go back and find that clip and then put it right next to him getting fouled over and over and over again. That is a great video waiting to happen there. I like that.
There you go.
I'm gonna work on that. Thad, we got some help in the video department, right? Huh? We can tease.
We do.
Yeah.
You didn't invite her.
Her. Huh? There's a little tease. We have someone new coming on to help us with some video content. We're pretty excited about that. So yeah, video content should be coming.
This episode is brought to you by Google Pixel, the official fan phone of the NBA and WNBA. The new Pixel 8 and Pixel 8 Pro are built different. How? Take the Audio Magic Eraser tool. It helps block out distracting crowd noise so your play-by-play commentary sounds crystal clear. The only phone engineered by Google brings out the audio you care about so your videos sound as crisp as they look. Learn more at googlestore.com/pixelnba. Audio Magic Eraser requires Google Photos app. May not work on all audio elements.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. You might say all kinds of stuff when things go wrong, but these are the words you really need to remember. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. They've got options to fit your unique insurance needs, meaning you can talk to your agent to choose the coverage you need, have coverage options to protect the things you value most, file a claim right on the State Farm mobile app, and even reach a real person when you need to talk to someone. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
The foul, the non-foul on Logan and Denbei right there. I don't want to be someone that complains about the refs. That's never a good look.
But
this game was terribly called. It was objectively a poorly called game. And here, let's play Vermes' audio here. He goes through. Vermes obviously is always going to be a little salty. He doesn't hold back with the referees, and he kind of gives the referees the first 3 goals. So if you're like me wondering how we lost 4-0 to this team that is not that much better than us, Vermes explains it by the referees here for the first 3 goals.
I've already reviewed the penalty kick. First off, look, they won the game. I'll give them kudos to that. They won the game. Not a penalty kick. I watched it. Rado actually steps on the ball. So I can't understand why it's not reviewed. So that's the first piece. Second one is Gotti gets absolutely killed at his knee high. It's a foul. Goes right to goal. How that's not reviewed, I don't know. On the third goal, player's offsides position comes onsides. They say it didn't impact the play. I don't know how you don't impact the play when you're offsides, then go onsides, and then you're the guy who scores. It doesn't make sense to me. And so, unfortunately, there was tackles in the game that I think were over the top. In Denbei, there was one. There was just a lot of different things that occurred, and I think that, unfortunately, they had an impact on the game. Again, they played with a lot of energy, a lot of intensity. It's great. But at the same time, you shouldn't get those fouls to get you the advantage in those situations, and they did.
So I know a lot of the calls are ones, maybe short of the red of the one that should have been a foul or could have been a red card and wasn't even called a foul. That one is just absurd. But a lot of these other ones were, you could make an argument that you like to do that. You can formulate an argument for the other side and maybe see how they did it like that. But it just seemed like on every single question where it could go both ways, it just went St. Louis's way every single time. Like on so many of those plays after the PK at the start, it seemed like the ref turned it into, well, as long as you get the ball, it doesn't matter if you get the man. And that's kind of what happened on the second goal where it went to Gotti. It's like, okay, the guy got some of the ball, but he got a lot of the man. So yeah, that's one of those, you can make the argument like, all right, yeah, at one time in this sport, that would never be a foul. These days, most refs call it a foul. So it's like, you can make the argument there, but then what makes it objectively bad was that the argument you make to justify that not being a foul is why the PK shouldn't have been a PK. And so beyond that, and then, yeah, when you mix in the foul, the non-foul that could have been a red card, it was objectively bad. The third goal Vermes talked about, I don't recall. I might have just clicked off the game already, checked out from really paying attention. But I don't recall the offside situation. Is that something you looked at during the game, Thad? All right, probably not you because you were not at a good vantage point. But
yeah, I didn't see it during the game. That's for dang sure. I watched it a little while ago, and actually, I don't think it's a problem because the way the ball came and actually came off of a Sporting player to him, who he was coming back onside at that point. So I don't think that's actually a bad call in that particular case. And I did a little more looking at the penalty. And initially, my initial thought it wasn't a penalty.
Thad,
the replay that I could see
careful.
that night wasn't a penalty. But I finally found Fox Soccer Twitter had a bunch of different angles. And I go, okay, the very last angle, I can see where maybe it could be called. And it's just that
okay, but so that's fine, but that's one angle where you're ignoring all the others where it looks the other way.
I understand, but it's also the angle that is the reverse angle, like from behind, which is where the ref would have been seeing it from. And his foot it looks like his foot may have come in and contacted the St. Louis player's foot at the same time, knocking it out of the way as he went to go touch on the ball.
Okay.
I maybe.
So thank you for letting me make this point, though. Like, from the referee's vantage point, okay, you can see how the referee got it wrong. This is the year 2023, and there is something called VAR, and that there's people that look at it and could show him those other angles. And that's what I mean. I want to hammer home the point of, like, there's complaining about referees, and then there's just things like objectively wrong that they did. Like, inexcusable that is not looked at again. It's a PK right at the start of the game, going to change everything. How does you not tell him to go look at that? That was bad.
The VAR has to think that it's clear and obviously wrong. If he can see one angle that it looks like the ref made the right call, the ref made the right call. I don't think he made the right call. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it's from an angle I could see where it could have been made.
It wasn't a penalty, but let me ask this question. What if he doesn't call it a penalty and VAR reviews it? Are they going to call him over to look at it again? I don't think so either.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's the whole issue with VAR is it has to be clear and obvious to change something.
Right.
So
right, but I think it's that it wasn't a touch on the ball. It was the guy put the middle of his foot on the top of the ball. Like it
was
just
more of a tap on there. It wasn't like he stopped the ball in Preki style.
I know, but that to me is like, yes, there is a clear and obvious thing that he did not see, and he needs to look at this again.
Now, I'm going to disagree with Vermes on the second goal. I reversed it on Apple TV about 7 or 8 times and looked at it. The foul on Gotti that, supposedly was there, I agree that it was clean with the announcers. The ball was between Gotti's legs when the ball was struck, the ball was touched. I don't think that there was a foul on Gotti at all.
Well, I disagree with, obviously, the extreme characterization that he gave it. He said he was like absolutely taken out at the knees or whatever. Yeah. I don't know if that's true, but again, that's one of those. There's 25% of referees, 50% of referees in the world are gonna call that still. Like, yes, there's 20 years ago, never in the world is that a foul. It's he got the ball, great tackle, good strong tackle. But nowadays there's an argument there. And the only reason I have a problem with it is because the logic you make to justify it means that the PK shouldn't have been a PK. So the reason I'm so frustrated by it is because he changed obviously he's not being consistent. He changed the way he was calling it. Like, if we're calling it a PK, because he also got the man as he was touching the ball, then this on Gotti is a clear foul as well because he got less of the ball and more of the man. So I have no problem with it not being called a foul, other than the fact that that it was called a foul before that.
For less.
Right.
Penso, I've not done research to back this up, so I'm just speaking out off the top of my head. Penso has always felt like he's been very hit or miss. Like sometimes he's pretty decent, but sometimes he's just very, very bad.
Yeah, I remember watching this thinking like, this is not one of the referees I'm bracing for when we start one of these games, like to be horrible. But
And honestly, I thought he was out of the referee pool at one point because I saw him refereeing Major Arena Soccer League. And I figured
really?
if he's down reffing indoor soccer, yeah, he's reffed MASL games for the Comets.
Wow.
And I'm like, I can't believe that guy's back in the league. But all I can think of is with the Apple deal of having almost every MLS team playing at the same time and NWSL teams playing at that same time and USL teams playing at that same time, the referees who may have dropped down may have been pulled back up to ref those games.
I haven't heard this discussed yet. That's a valid, solid logic there, that the quality of some referees might have gone down, or they may have had to call up more referees that they wouldn't have last year.
And that's going to be a problem everywhere in the world, but it's a problem here is that as all these teams expand, as these leagues expand, and with the specific problem of Apple pushing all the games to be on the same night, which in some cases is great, in some cases sucks. I've seen actually less MLS games now, it feels like.
I don't watch anything. It sucks. I hate this. I hate it. That's one thing I do see them loosening next year. Gotta give us a Friday night game. We need the Friday night MLS back.
A Friday night game, couple Sunday games.
Couple Sundays. Stagger them on Saturday. Give us at least 2 shifts. NFL doesn't.
Shifts,
yes, but it's I know. Okay, that's fair.
But if I'm going to the sporting game, I'm missing everything.
Yeah.
Other than the game, the one game I'm going to. If I'm at home, I'm probably doing the recap, so I'm more focused on just that game and not seeing the game after it. So
They should mimic NFL here to some extent. You've got your main day, and then you split the big chunk into 2 different time slots, and then you've got the money maker that you put at the end of the night in prime time.
And hey, if a team's going to play Wednesday night, they should play Sunday, right?
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And you should not have rivalry games when one team's played 3 in 6 days, 7 days, and the other team hasn't.
That's what I mean. MLS, it was clear MLS had a favorite here. It was everything.
Bullshit.
Everything was set up
Get
all
out of here
nice
with that.
and convenient.
Get out of here. Come on.
All nice and convenient for the big first game against the rivalry at home. Nice and rested against a team that wasn't. Let's just make the MLS the original team. They'll figure it out. Let's make them go there. They'll figure it out.
If there is any truth to that, which I'm not saying there is, but if there is any, it's going to be giving the expansion team the benefit of the doubt, not necessarily because it's St. Louis.
Yeah. No, I know nobody actually likes St. Louis. It's just, yes, they're gonna help out the expansion team for sure.
Actually, David in the chat brought this up, and this is something I was wanting to mention. Penso was awestruck by the atmosphere, like refs who go to Cameron Indoor. I don't know what the hell that is, or Allen Fieldhouse. I don't know. Like they play field hockey there.
You don't know. Hold on. Either one of those, I can't tell if he's doing a bit. You have to know Allen Fieldhouse. I know
Allen Fieldhouse.
Okay.
I've been in Allen Fieldhouse.
But Cameron Indoor, that's a new one to you?
This is where Duke plays basketball.
There you go.
Dude, why don't you say where Duke plays?
I didn't know that either.
I don't know the name of their arena.
What the hell is it called Cameron Indoor for?
All I know is that's Cam Duke, man. A great SKC2 player.
All right, yeah. David. So, I mean, I was going to say this earlier. I don't know if Penso did his homework. I'm a referee. I'm going to do my homework on each team, see what their tendencies are, and then decide ahead of time, this is how I need to be calling this game most likely. And, of course, adjust in game according to that. But I don't know if Penso did his homework or not, but the moment was too big for him, just like it was for Sporting Kansas City.
The moment was too big. Okay, I don't want to linger on that too terribly long.
So what have we learned? He's a bad referee. He got caught up in the moment, got caught up in the crowd, got caught up, and maybe he already hates Sporting from being yelled at by PV 1,000 times in the previous game, not even over his lifetime. And potentially, I heard another person say that he was also irritated with Sporting because Gotti yelled at him early in the game for not calling a foul on the tackle. I don't know which one, if that was the one, but
interesting.
So he did call 18 fouls on St. Louis and 9 on us.
And how many yellow cards?
2-1.
Yeah, not for the 18 that got 2, right? It was Sporting got 2.
Right.
So
I
Sporting
agree
got
with
2 in the fewer amount of actual fouls, right?
Yeah, that was
the one on
and the ones where people did get their clocks cleaned, like Johnny Russell getting hit in the head or Remy Voltaire getting hit in the head, were not fouls. Or they were a foul, but they weren't a big foul.
And another
well, I
thing,
think Gotti's yellow should not have been a yellow, and the foul on Ndenbe definitely should have been a yellow.
Yeah,
could have been a red.
The one foul on Remy probably should have been a yellow. Because there was definitely arms up towards the head.
Well, I wanted to see
Johnny also.
I wanted to see a quote unquote persistent infringement. Sometimes you'll see a referee, if a whole team is just hammering the other team, even if it's not one player, even if it's not on one player, sometimes the referee just gets a handle on a game. Like, I've seen referee point around to fouls that other players on the team committed, but every single foul was late and high, and it was just, yes, I know it's a rivalry game. You come in with intensity, and maybe Sporting didn't have that, but it just felt like we were being picked on the whole game. And that also stems from, yes, St. Louis was the better team, for sure. But it was also just one of those games where not just the calls, but it was every bounce, every roll of the ball just seemed like it was not going our way. And it was just the world was against us. I was a very cranky Cody on my back deck with company over at our house for this game. And yeah, I definitely checked out.
A lot of people have said this, and definitely relevance to it. That atmosphere, then we get the bad PK call against us, and it just kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to that, but it has a lot more to do with tactics, has a lot more to do with Sporting, in my mind, not being mentally ready for what they're going to be literally hit with. So yeah, it snowballed for sure.
As David in the chat mentioned, who would have expected a PV team to get out toughed? Quotation marks.
Yeah.
So
it's a valid point.
Robert, I know you're going towards the tactics. What would the tactics have been if you were coaching Sporting? Well, it wasn't so much the tactics that Sporting did. We'll start with the tactics of St. Louis City. You heard him talk about it in the broadcast. Leuven playing deeper, Vasily playing more as a second forward with Gioacchini, and those two occupying, our center backs and our right back and their movement, Stroud's movement especially. But in the midfield, you had Blom and Leuven, winning that battle in there. Blom being the physical guy, and again, we can debate about that all night. But, that leaves a mental mark on you when you get hit like that, not just a physical mark. And we didn't handle it well. But going to touches, the way tactically St. Louis was organized, obviously we had so many more touches, 751 to 475 for them. But here's the big deal. Leuven had 12% of St. Louis's touches. And going into this game, you have to know that he's the guy you need to focus on because he's everything that makes them run. So we did not do a good job on him. I would have done something different with that. And then Gioacchini and Vasily combined together got 15% of St. Louis's touches. Let's compare that to Polito, got 6% of our touches. Tommy and Kinta together got 10% of our touches. And then Rodoya, 6% of 6% of our touches compared to, Leuven's 12%. So even though we got a lot more touches, they weren't for the right people.
Just to put a bow on this, David in the chat would like to say that Pinso was one of the worst refs I've ever seen. We got to at least get that out there. That's David's full take on this game. It's one of the worst refs I've ever seen. So what we keep.
But David would throw in a lot more cuss words than that.
Right. For those that don't remember, David joined this podcast. Like, we invited him on to give us a fan perspective for a season preview. And so David is just our resident fan. Like, he's allowed to come in here and say all of the crazy things for us that we're not, and be the illogical fan that we're not allowed to be. So
are we going to repeat what he just said in the chat?
I'll repeat it, but it's all on David.
David in the chat says Penso is the Kyrie Shelton of referees. David.
I disagree because Penso is not handsome like Kyrie.
Yeah, never take that away from Kyrie. Always give credit for how handsome Kyrie is.
David admitted I was right.
Reboot your credit card with Apple Card, the credit card created by Apple. It gives you unlimited daily cash back that you can now choose to grow in a high-yield savings account that's built right into the Wallet app. Apply for Apple Card now in the Wallet app on iPhone and start growing your daily cash with savings today. Apple Card subject to credit approval. Savings is available to Apple Card owners subject to eligibility requirements. Savings accounts provided by Goldman Sachs Bank USA. Member FDIC. Terms apply.
Okay, so Thad, the second teams also played.
They did, and they went about the tactics a wee bit differently than Sporting did. Instead of trying to possess it, they tried to turn St. Louis's aggression on them and go a little more direct over the top. And it worked for the first half. They scored. They were up 2-0 at half.
And I turned it on and started watching, and things went bad. But then why did they do PKs? Well, what is going on there? Why were there PKs at the end of it?
Do you not MLS Next Pro?
I'm doing a thing.
Do you even need MLS Next Pro, bro?
No, I don't, and I hate the name. Explain it to me. Explain it to me so I don't have to watch.
They do that for all ties. They go to penalty kicks so that one team gets the extra point, kind of like the NHL does. With if you get past overtime, they do a shootout and that team gets an extra point. So you can have basically if you go to overtime and lose, you get a point and it's a draw, more or less. But the other team wins and they get the extra point, so they still get 3 points total.
So combining what you just said, Thad, with the first team game. So if we do play that stay back and play more direct, then Gadi Kinda is the man to start that match.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I don't even know if that's the right guy to start the match, but it's a guy would maybe come in the second half, I think.
Yeah.
But I think that would play more into his role.
Right.
But I also think it would have played into a Roger being in that role for at least a half to also bang with those guys, and he can also play a long ball out to somebody making the run.
Yeah.
Or, it would have also maybe been a good chance to have Eric Tommy on a wing because he's fast and can get to those balls. So there's a lot of options you would have been able to have with the first team if you'd have done that style, and it would have my understanding from watching and then from talking to some other people, when St. Louis has played poorly, they've had their big star out, but they've also faced that setback and made them try to make the play. And then they got countered. They're not good at making the play. They're not good at possession. So why go in and say, okay, we're at their house, let's own the possession, which Sporting did. If you look at the stats, if you don't look at goals, and I know I'm not defending this.
We even out-expected goal them, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing.
1.6 to 1.5. Even with a penalty, they only had 1.5 expected goals. Sporting, with 17 shots, 7 on target, had a 1.6 expected goals. So again, I'm not saying that makes it a good performance. So don't get all pissed off at me, people listening to this. You can, I don't care, but that's not for that reason at least. But it just shows that it was a completely different game. If they had set back in that game, and I don't really love that style, but sometimes that's what you need to do. If they had a set back and forced St. Louis to try to play, they're not that good at it. They would have done the flip and they would have turned them over. They would have had some counters. and you could have played a little bit more defensively. When they were successful in LA, they weren't high possession team. They were for a little bit of it, but then they set back, defended, played there, made it everything compact.
So if Kendall McIntosh was in goal for St. Louis and we had Kendall McIntosh in goal for us, it probably would have ended up like a 3-3 tie.
That's a little mean.
What? So I know a lot.
I mean, Berkey was amazing. You got to give him that.
Yeah.
He was. He really was, and that's less of an indication on Kendall as it is that Berkey was just damn good.
Yeah.
I know there were a lot of first-team players for SKC2 in this one, but
also for St. Louis.
How are these teams? How do you compare these teams, Benny Feilhaber's team and Peter Vermes' first team? What are the differences or comparisons?
Benny will adjust the tactics a little bit more than Peter will.
It's something a lot of...
They still try to play a similar style and all this other stuff, but I talked to Benny after the game yesterday, and he basically said that they were being more direct and they got away from it in the second half, and they kind of lost the plot a little bit on their own. But it's also young players. You're supposed to give them a chance to learn and figure these things out and adjust. So David wants you to acknowledge the fine, Cody.
What fine?
For the dog bark.
Oh, damn it. Yes, that's a fine. She's stressed too.
I don't know that she can pay it though.
She got attacked. She gets a pass today. She got attacked. She's allowed to be on edge this evening. Thad, did I set you up properly? Did you have anything else you wanted? Did I set you up properly for what you were wanting to talk about? I know you told me you had a thing there. Did you say your full piece? Did I set you up properly?
I don't know what I said now, man. Sorry.
I just letting them in. You told me you had some comparisons between the first and second team.
Well, I think I made those comparisons, didn't I?
Okay, I just wanted to make sure you got everything out there that you wanted. Okay, what else have we not covered? Should we talk about the other bad teams? Should we talk about KC Current losing twice to Racing Louisville in like a
Actually,
week?
Before we go to them, can I go back for just a second?
Yeah, please.
The number of Kansas City players on St. Louis on both the first team and the second team. Because you had Bartlett and Giacchini. I know Giacchini only lived here for like 8 years, so
Isn't Bartlett from Columbia though?
He was in the Sporting Academy.
Okay.
Claim him.
And his brother's in the Sporting Academy and has actually played for SKC too.
Claimed.
So
there you go.
So there's two KC players there, and I think that was actually more KC players on St. Louis's first team playing that day than there was St. Louis players. Although they did bring in Klein, a Kansas City Comets draft pick.
I like that they tout, local players as like, look at we're the soccer capital. Look at all these players that come out of here, without having to acknowledge that they have to go somewhere else to do all of these things that they're doing.
Thank you, Cody.
They had Ali Trost's uncle or whoever that is in their video. Where'd your niece have to go to work in soccer? To the actual soccer capital of America. That's where she had to go.
Oh, okay. Can I bring up one more thing? It's related to the game, but all these stupid nicknames for the rivalry.
Yeah.
I don't like any of them so far.
Me either.
And while I was driving to St. Louis on Saturday, I was actually just trying to like brainstorm and think about this, right? And I remember, the Ohio one is the hell is real just because there's some billboard up there that recognizes Ohio is hell. Mm-hmm. So whatever city you're from in Ohio pretty much is hell. But I was driving across and I was trying to think of something that would be unique between Kansas City and St. Louis that wasn't, in adult places outside of Boonville or something like that, right?
Nice.
So the one thing, it just kept reoccurring as I was driving. I kept seeing over and over and over. And I have my new name for this rivalry.
Ooh, what do you got?
The Dead Armadillo Derby.
The Dead Armadillo. I thought you were going to go... So everything I keep thinking of is... It ends up being about Missouri, and the team's not in Missouri. So I would like the Misery Cup. That would have been a good one. But I actually want us to settle on where both sides... We get far enough beyond this where we acknowledge how stupid the soccer capital of America thing is. Where it's
so you don't want the Capital Cup?
That's where I'm going. I want it to be called the Capital Cup, where it's just kind of like a funny thing that we do, and it's not where like both teams are seriously claiming to be the soccer capital of America. The Capital Cup. I think that's funny. I think next year, after some time has passed, and they're not as salty about a cease and desist. I think that's a
Which
funny
never
thing.
happened.
It just seems like. It seems like one of those that would just come, it would just almost happen organically. Like it's enough. You could call it that as a joke because it doesn't have a name. And then I think, you know what I mean? Like the Capital Cup. I like it. I think it works.
2 teams, 1 cup.
Well, hey, I'm just going to say this, and you guys can scowl at me if you want. But as far as all the MLS visiting stadiums I've been to, and maybe I'm slightly biased because I am from St. Louis, but that was the best away experience, away atmosphere. The stadium, I like the double tiers. I thought it was pretty impressive.
But where else have you been? I mean, if you count Chicago or Colorado in there, you obviously like any team is going to be better than that.
I've been to Galaxy Stadium, been to FC Dallas, been to Nashville. But so far that's the best.
Any expansion team with a new stadium that's all motivated is going to have the great atmosphere because everybody is going to be fired up for that. Every new stadium is being built in a great manner. I don't like all the lights in there. I don't like that as much, like all the different colored lights and stuff. It just makes for terrible pictures, quite honestly, because that's what I'm caring about.
We are all on team soccer in the U.S. I think we all understand that it's good for the game, that there is another city in this country that is getting behind a team that has a wonderful environment to create more soccer fans in that area. So that's all fine and dandy, but you're just not going to hear me give them much credit for it.
Well, I'll be very interested to see how things are at CMP when we play them here.
Pro soccer everywhere but STL. As David says.
Yeah, you gotta make sure you say it's David.
No, see, this is the real value of what David in the chat would be if he just gives us jokes, if he feeds us lines. That's what I've been wanting. Thad, whenever we're like this, I always come up with a funny line that would be really funny if you said it, but I have no way of feeding it to you. This is what we need David for, to feed us lines in the chat.
There's a chat here, man. That's what it's for.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
And what makes you think I'm going to be funny at all? I'm pretty like deadpan.
Well, that's why I'm trying to. That's why I'm trying to help you. No, you were on a roll today. You had two good ones today to start. So well done.
So I still going back to this whole rivalry thing and capital thing. I still love the fact that they say, "Oh, we were America's first soccer city." Well, that means that you acknowledge you're not the one now.
Yeah, it's almost like the name itself is acknowledging that Portland is Soccer City, USA. Like it acknowledges that by saying we're not the Soccer City anymore. We were at one point. Yeah, it's such a weird thing.
And before the game, they were very, very much, and I know it's part of the rivalry. It was part of the hype, and I completely understand why they were doing all this. Before the game, at one point, they were talking about the Mac Herman Trophy winner, which is cool. That's the Missouri Athletic, whatever the C stands for, is downtown St. Louis, all that stuff. It's cool. But I was just thinking, none of them play in St. Louis. In fact, the Mac Herman Trophy winner for last year for the women plays in Kansas City. Michelle Cooper.
The Lions Den Derby. Is that's like a roast beef place?
No, that's Lions Den is a adult superstore, I believe.
Oh. What am I thinking of?
You're thinking of Lion's Choice.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I got that one wrong. Okay.
But no, that's funny because I was texting my friend in St. Louis. I said, I'm going to be a little later than I thought. I'm going to check out every cannabis and adult superstore between here and St. Louis. She's like, oh, you won't arrive till like Sunday night then.
Yeah.
You will never arrive.
Not enough time in the day for that. Okay. Any final thoughts here, gentlemen? How do we feel about Portland this weekend?
Gotta be a win, baby.
Are you guys going? I'll be at the lake. I'm going to miss it. Memorial Day weekend. Lake weekend, baby.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about
plan
that.
on being there.
I'll be there.
Okay.
And
Portland's also bad right now, right? We got a chance to win this one? No?
They've been not great.
All right.
But
well, we've beat the two best teams in both conferences, so. Oh, wait, no, that's not true. In the Western Conference, we did. So we can beat anyone. We're throwing out the 4-0 loss. It doesn't count. It's just 1 out of 3 of the season series. And the refs gave it to them.
If it was a regular season where Sporting was at least middle of the pack, you would look at that game and say, yeah, it was the third game or fifth game in 14 days. You'd look at that and go, yeah, okay, that kind of sucked. And it would be like, right? So if you take a good run of results and you throw that game out, it hopefully they're still building momentum towards getting back to their normal form or good form.
Throw it out.
We'll see.
As far as my arms will take it.
Like David said, Portland's in 8th on 16 points, so they are in a playoff spot.
St. Louis sucks.
Only 2 game results out of a playoff spot, though, aren't they?
2 points, really? Is that it?
Not 2 game results.
We're 6 points back. Yeah.
6 points, 7 points. Okay. Are we going to go back to talking about Current since I ruined that earlier?
Yeah, sure. Give us a bit on the Current.
They lost.
They lost to the same team twice in a week.
Yes. Rookie mistake kicked it off.
Yeah.
Bad back pass from Croy Soto. And I should say bad back pass, but too soft. And DeMello from Louisville ran onto it and put it away. And the other one was just when they were pushing hard to get an equalizer, they got countered, and DeMello set up. Can't remember the other Louisville player, Racing Louisville, but.
How do we feel about the name Racing Louisville? I think I like it.
I probably like it better than the Current, quite honestly.
Yeah. I'm already tired of the Current.
Currently, and in the future.
Not like of them as a team, but literally just the name. I get you're doing the whole branding thing with the new stadium and it's on the water, but the river means nothing to me as a Kansas Cityan. The river has no impact on daily life. It doesn't mean much to us as a city. Like, it's really dirty and gross. Like, it's not something I'm even proud of to look at.
Agreed.
I see a rebranding within a decade there.
It would have made for a good derby name, though, the River City Rumble.
Those 3 today, Thad. Well done.
Because it is both cities have laid claim to being River City, so.
I'd never heard that until that podcast had that name. That was the first time I'd ever heard River City. So, stop trying to make fetch happen. Sporting.
The other side don't seem so tough, and 3 own goals ain't all that rough. Our skipper has just been sent off. Supporters strong have all gone soft. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer or whiskey, wine or gin, anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking.